Here's the story now. If I see Kevin Owens, or even someone who looks like Kevin Owens, I drop them on sight.
Let's give them NWA.
I was thinking that it might be a good idea if you and I formed an alliance.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Attention, everyone. Welcome to the greatest wrestling program in the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? Stop what you're doing and listen.
Okay, let's party.
It's the pre-party with J. Cal.
Welcome.
It's party time.
So, what day is it today?
Tuesday?
Wrong. It's NWA Day.
They want NWA? Let's give them NWA.
Why are you excited to be here tonight?
Because I'm just excited.
No other explanation. Now, I do believe, tell me the truth. Is it true that your dad has a ringside seat but didn't get you guys ringside seats?
That is true, but it's because of his YouTube channel, okay? It's his YouTube, okay?
Her dad's an influencer. Let him go, guys. But your dad's awesome, right?
Yeah,
See, he's awesome. Yeah! Give it up for Claire. Thank you so much, Claire. High five. Yeah.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is J. Cal, and what the heck kind of Tuesday is today? Got wind blowing down my house last night, trying to do this whole little live stream, this pre-party for you, that NWA hashtag fam. Soto Wrestling, what's up, brother? Soto and I might go to a Crash show next month. One of my all-time faves, Old Team O-Dragon, going to be out there working for the Crash on February I think it was 21st. I just saw it. Now I don't even remember. Anyways, I'm excited about that one. But tonight is, it's going to be a little bit of a downer. Yeah, February 21st. Tonight is going to be a little bit of a downer for me, and it should be for a lot of you fans of the National Wrestling Alliance, because tonight, unfortunately, is the final match from Jax Dane, the former World's Heavyweight Champion, the former North American Champion, the former World Tag Team Champion, a former two-time NWA National Champion. Obviously, we spent a lot of time with that in December, but Jax Dane had passed away due from complications from a heart attack. Way too young to go. And we knew that this time was coming. We knew that there was some matches still filmed. I believe this is the final match of Jax Dane. And I gotta be honest, like it's still very surreal to me. He was such a great individual, and he is still missed. And I get that the NWA has their taping order and their schedule and everything else. I got to be honest, I don't know if this is the match that I'd want to show as his last one. Hopefully, I haven't seen it yet, right? So maybe it's a great match. But he'll be working with Baron Von Storm in a tag team against the Mims and Black G's. And, of course, I could only imagine this match was created to help get G's and Mims over. So I don't know how great it will be. And, of course, Jax Dane, I feel like, was entirely underutilized in his time with the NWA and the Billy Corgan era. Of course, he had that brief run with the national title, and it was more memorable because he held the belt for a second time. It was memorable because he was one of only a few guys from the earlier incarnation of the NWA, the pre-Billy Corgan NWA, that was kind of carried over into the modern day NWA. Him and Tim Storm really are the only guys that they recognize as world champions that had the opportunity to compete. They had Colt Cabana too. I should take that back, but even his time was short-lived. And anyways, it's kind of a bummer. And I wish I had some better things to say. I wish there was under better circumstances, but That's a match that I know will probably cause some tears for your boy Jay. And I know what you're saying. Hey, man, it's pro wrestling. It's supposed to be fun. And Jax would have wanted you to enjoy his last match, but I don't know really what to say about that. So I'm just to be honest, it's just what it is. So with that being said, let's kind of move on to other things. Of course, the NWA just got off of a big weekend with their affiliate, their territory member of Exodus Pro. We saw a new Exodus Pro champion crowned. Dante Casanova taking the title off of Pretty Boy Smooth. Now, is this a sign of things to come, right? Because to be perfectly honest, Dante Casanova was the favorite to win the tournament when they crowned the new champion. And now that he is champion, like an injury kept him from competing in the tournament. So now that Dante Casanova is standing as king of the Midwest, what does that do with Pretty Boy Smooth? We know that Pretty Boy Smooth will make his power debut in a couple of weeks. Not his debut. It'll be the Exodus Pro Championship debut, of course, as he will defend the title against Tim Storm in a future episode of Power. So I don't know how that's all going to play out, but congratulations to Dante Casanova. I kind of expected him to win that title sooner than later, so him becoming the champion again, very excited, or not again, but becoming the champion for the first time, I think is very good. I feel like that is the right guy that you want at Exodus Pro. I feel like he embodies everything that EC3 has set out to create when it comes to pro wrestling. And I think Dante Casanova, when his time comes to become a regular on the main roster, on the Power roster, I think it's going to be a big, big deal. So kudos again. Now, I kind of jumped ahead on this week's episode. We didn't do our normal Willie Bowen joke. So again, for those of you who are watching, our pal Willie Bowen says, "Hey, J. Cal, Tyrus has nailed down the part in the movie reboot of Brokeback Mountain." Well, Tyrus, is he playing the mountain? Is he playing a horse? What is he playing? Our pal James Bell says, "Snowing heavy in Florida Panhandle. It's the apocalypse and we're all going to die." Damn, James, tell me how you really feel. Look, it's crazy out where I'm at right now. In Los Angeles, which is about 2 hours away from me, you've got fires and this crazy wind. This wind has been insane. And last night, the fence in my backyard blew down. All right? That's how crazy the wind is. My kids were so scared that they slept with mom in dad's bed, and dad went and slept in the guest room. That was so not fun for me. The windows were rattling. It sounded like my neighbors had a playhouse for their son, and it literally took off in the air. Fortunately, it stayed in their backyard, but it moved about 20 feet into the opposite direction. So pretty crazy, this wind. We're not used to this. It's not normal for us. Now, does it get windy? Absolutely, but this has been very intense. Kind of weird how the weather's getting very intense these days. Just interesting. Just something to think about. Sam Retro's in the house, and my pal Soto16, he's down from the 619, don't you know? That's San Diego for those in the know. He's representing on both TikTok and on YouTube. Appreciate the support, brother. Retro says he's got a crazy storm up here in upstate New York. I know it's like freezing in like the Midwest. Like, what's going on, man? It's kind of crazy. Our pal Championship Wrestling from Jeremy, who is also one of the other Alliance guys, they do their live stream right here on Sundays, says, "Good afternoon, Alliance fam. I'm on lunch at the moment, so don't forget, give us that thumbs up, share, and all the other streams, or after the stream, and leave a comment because it helps with Al Gore's rhythm. And the rhythm is going to get you." Let's see. Yeah, Soto's a good dude. Soto, I found Soto. He found me. I don't know who found who first on TikTok. He's one of the brothers that I made sure to follow off of TikTok because of the 12-hour ban. I wasn't sure what was going to happen with the old Tickety Talk, so I made sure to give him a follow. Good dude. He does a lot of WWE coverage. If you're into the WWE, Willie, I know you're not, but if you're into the WWE, check out at Soto16, SOTO619. It's my guy. All right, let's see. Showgain's in the house. He's listening as he's driving. Noob is here. What's up, Noob? Soto's got all three covers, man. Thank you, Noob. Or thank you, Soto. Rosville's in the house. Rosville, you guys got to check out Rosville's. He's got a podcast. It's called The Alliance. I think it's Alliance After Dark. Rosville, don't let me butcher it, man. Come to my aid here. Alliance Late Night, not Alliance After Dark. And that's something else entirely. You got to go to my OnlyFans page for that. Alliance Late Night, and he does a lot of NWA talk. A lot of NWA talk there as well. Also talking about the Pacific Northwest and its pro wrestling scene. We're going to try to do some stuff together and support our Alliance #Alliance fam. That's what I mean. Look, I said this before COVID, and I meant it. A rising tide raises all ships, and Soto16, he's doing WWE content, but if he decided to do NWA content too, I'd still be plugging him away. Rosville's doing NWA content, Pacific Northwest content. Plug that away. If you guys are looking for good content, good people, I don't associate with douchebags, except for Jaden. But outside of that, I don't associate with douchebags. I can't talk anymore. What the hell is happening to me? Soto says, I was one of the first ones I found a year ago. That's cool, man. Soto, you're one of the guys that in terms of wrestling content, there's like 5 guys right now on TikTok that I admire, I respect, and I try to support as well. So, Soto, Mutual Love Society here, brother. Have you guys heard about some of the matches that are coming to the United Wrestling Network? I know we spent more time talking about the NWA on this platform than we do the United Wrestling Network, but their next show coming on February the 25th in Irvine, your boy Jay's going to be there. You should be there if you're in California, and if you're not, that's okay. You don't have to come, but it is a TV taping. And they've announced some title matches. They've announced actually 3 big matches. First and foremost, QT Marshall of AEW he'll be in the house, and he's challenging Zicky Dice for the United Wrestling Network Television Championship. That's going to be pretty crazy off the start. Why am I having difficulty? Oh man, I think maybe that I need some sleep. What I was trying to say is off the first match that was announced. Oh gosh. All right, let's take it. You know what? 5-second break. Water's good. I guess what I was about to say is QT Marshall, Zicky Dice, United Wrestling Network TV Championship. That'll be on February 25th. Also, we are going to see Danny Limelight defend the United Wrestling Network World Championship against Slice Boogie. Now, remember, Danny Limelight has spent well over 500 days as World's Heavyweight Champion. I think we're close to 700 at this point. By February, I think it's going to be like 730, I think is the actual date. And that matchup has been in the works for a long time. Of course, scheduling conflicts have stopped that match from happening. And we used to see like there's a lot of Am I saying Soto 16? My apologies. Soto 619. Soto 619. Chant it in the crowd. Soto 619. Soto 619. Sorry about that, Soto. I don't know why I say Soto 16. Maybe it's because my eyes transpose the 1 and 6. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Danny Limelight defending the United Wrestling Network World Championship against Slice Boogie. You know, these guys were buds. They were former MLW Tag Team Champions, former IWA Puerto Rico Tag Team Champions. You might have seen them wrestle together in places like Lucha Libre AAA in Tijuana. You might have seen them wrestle together in Atlanta, Georgia for Championship Wrestling from Atlanta. They technically, for all intents and purposes, using that Freebird rule, shared those tag titles. It was Danny, Papo Esco, and Slice Boogie as the triumvirate that was the Bodega. And all of that comes to a close. The Bodega is no longer handing out beatdowns. The shop is closed, and the United Wrestling Network Championship will now hang in the balance between Boogie and Danny on February the 25th. But the other match that they just announced that I'm super excited about, Scorpio Sky. AEW Scorpio Sky, a former TBS champion, two-time TBS champion, former AEW World Tag Team Champion, former ROH Tag Team Champion, Scorpio Sky, in the ring with Ice Williams, a WWE ID prospect. This is going to be off the charts good. Not only is Scorpio Sky one of the best wrestlers in the world today, give him his goddamn flowers, but he's taking on Ice Williams, who we haven't seen in the United Wrestling Network for quite some time, but he's still been making towns in Las Vegas and Reality of Wrestling. This guy is obviously the WWE sees something in Ice Williams, and this match between him and Scorpio Sky, it's going to be good, man. And I feel like right now, the United Wrestling Network is really putting together some high-quality matches for the 25th. Now, this all coincides with their return to the TV studio, the TV taping. Now, they'll be taping in the Irvine Improv. So all of these matches you'll be able to watch later, either via YouTube or wherever they announce their next broadcasting partnership with. Here locally in Southern California, the only place to watch them is on YouTube, but I don't think that'll be the strategy for much longer. I know that there are some stokes in the fire. I know that some things are getting ready to be announced. Some things have been being planned for quite some time, and there's no official announcement. There's nothing imminent, but I think very, very soon you're going to hear about a new good deal for the United Wrestling Network for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. So I'm excited about that. I think that's going to be really, really good. So United Wrestling Network, although they have been negatively affected in the last year because of the loss of KDOC, the loss of some crucial sponsorship money, I feel like this next venture, this next step for the United Wrestling Network is really going to help get them back and established as one of the top independent promotions in the country. And I'm very excited about that. Let's see, off topic, but is Limelight versus Danny is booked. Yeah, Retro, there's nothing off topic with the United Wrestling Network. I know that they don't exactly work together anymore, but you got to remember United Wrestling Network in its infancy was born in the NWA. You know, it was Antonio Inoki's NWA membership through New Japan, through 01, and later and here in Hollywood. Initially, it was the Inoki Dojo with Dave Marquez and Simon Inoki doing their Inoki Dojo content, those shows in Santa Monica, California, where they were, defending and challenging for the British Commonwealth Championship. Those became the NWA New Japan USA TV tapings, which became the NWA Pro Wrestling TV tapings, which became the NWA Championship Wrestling from Hollywood TV tapings, then just Championship Wrestling from Hollywood when they left the NWA, and all that kind of tied back together when the Lightning One era was formed. Dave Marquez was right there. So I'll always talk United Wrestling Network hand in hand with the NWA, even though they are not connected, they are not working together at all. To me, there will always be linked together because of their past, their present. I mean, look, Jordan Clearwater was the United Wrestling Network World Champion while he was the NWA TV Champion. Slice Boogie made his debut involved in storylines with the late Jax Dane when he was debuting for the NWA or for the United Wrestling Network. There's so many crossovers and ties. Hell, some of the cameramen that are working Shane My guy Shane, he works camera for both NWA and United Wrestling Network. Billy Trask, who directs Power, used to direct Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Johnny Yuma, who is like the floor manager for the NWA, also used to do the floor manager for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. He used to book Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Aaron Stevens, while working for the NWA, was also booking for the United Wrestling Network. So there's so much connectivity. I'll always kind of keep them as similar. And, maybe they're not going to work together again in the future, but I always think of them as being like, distant cousins. Roswell used to live in Ocean Shore. Where's Ocean Shores at? I don't know where that's at. Let's see. That's depressing. I love the bodega. All good things have to come to an end. And, honestly, and this is not a slight on Danny Limelight, consider him a friend, one of the nicest guys I've ever worked with in pro wrestling. I think he's getting ready to move on to bigger and better things, and I think it's time that the United Wrestling Network starts looking at alternatives for Danny Limelight. I don't know how much longer he's going to be available to work for the United Wrestling Network. I mean, the guy's doing jobs in Hollywood. He's actively pursuing a WWE ID developmental deal. He's working in reality wrestling. He's working Future Stars of Wrestling. I mean, he's getting noticed. He's getting his name out there. And if he doesn't end up in a big movie or a TV show soon, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets gobbled up by the WWE. So yeah, that's kind of exciting. My phone is making a lot of noise, and I apologize if you guys are hearing it. I'm going to try to turn it all off. Okay. James Bell says, listening to Busted Open and Bully Ray talking about the TNA deal and how back in some years ago, Triple H was talking about wanting a territory system. Yeah, I feel like they've done that, right? I feel like that's. I did say TBS champion, didn't I? Wow. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with me today. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. We lost our power at 11 o'clock. In the room that I was sleeping in, we have a universal battery source, like the battery backups. So it starts beeping when the power goes off. So I had to turn that off and turn off the other ones in the house. And then when the power came back on, at 1 o'clock in the morning, there's a printer in that room, and then it started going off, waking me up. So that sucked too. Not fun. And just not even, when you don't sleep in your own bed, you also have those struggles too. So I apologize for that. Yeah, Soto, we can always talk about SoCal Indies. I used to write, I was the managing editor of SoCal Uncensored, and although I don't actively work with SoCal Uncensored currently, I can always write for them, and I have an open door to get right back to it if I wanted to. I'm busy with spinning other plates currently. But yeah, James Bell, getting back to the territory system. I mean, look, that's what I think the WWE is doing right now with the ID program. They certainly are scouting out, the ID program to me is kind of like if we're going to call the WWE like the Major League Baseball, right? The ID program is kind of like your talent scouts, looking at college players and baseball players and determining which talents are going to make sense and signing these letters of intent, being drafted essentially to come play for the WWE. And then you've got a promotion like NXT, which is WWE owned, and now to a lesser extent, TNA, also WWE, not WWE owned, but I feel like this is going to be the place where we're going to see the next evolution of talent come from. So you're going to see these ID talents who are going to be working like those at the performance center and getting reps in, training. But when they're ready for TV, you'll see them, make their way to NXT programming and TNA programming. And I think you're going to see talent before they get to the main roster will have spent some time doing these TNA shows, doing these NXT shows. And look, we're even seeing WWE doing things that are outside of their typical boundaries, like sending Shayna Baszler to go work for Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, or I think it was Charles Dempsey, they also sent to go do Bloodsport. I mean, that's pretty crazy. That's pretty intense. And so for the WWE to be working with other promotions to allow their talents to appear in other places, Reality of Wrestling in Houston, Texas, there's a few other wrestling promotions that are essentially being set up as developments for the WWE. We're going to start seeing a lot more integration, I think. And so even though the NWA has the territory system, the WWE is modeling something much more to me like baseball and their farm system, where they literally have separate levels. So the ID, you're scouting talents. Then you have these wrestling schools that'll be working on developing these talents. That'll be your single A ball. And then when you get to NXT or TNA, that's your triple A. And then you have Raw and SmackDown, the places that you want to be. Your Yankees, your Dodgers, whatever you want to look at it, that's going to be the cream of the crop. So I think that's very, very exciting for wrestling in general. What the WWE's in terms of their farm system, is that going to help other wrestling promotions? Maybe. They can't sign everybody, and they can put this emphasis on all of these unsigned talents, this untapped potential, and they can start crafting these talents into something more than what they are today. But at some point, they can't sign everybody, and putting that spotlight on these talents will only make them better and more desirable by MLW, by AEW, by the NWA, by United Wrestling Network. UWN is using Ice Williams for the first time in probably about 5 years. And it's great for United Wrestling Network fans. It's great for Ice Williams. I mean, it's a short drive from Vegas to LA. And I think it's a good thing. Let's see. Scorpio Sky should be the guy in AEW, that damn company. We were talking about that on the TikTok live before the show started. I don't know what AEW is doing, man. I don't know where their focus is at. I know Tony Khan has his game plan, what he wants to accomplish, what he wants to do. But I feel like for every time he's pursuing this hot name talent, this hot unsigned guy with a ton of potential, they throw away about 3 other dudes who are just sitting there collecting a paycheck. I mean, I remember hearing about the Honky Tonk Man and Leaping Lanny Poffo having WCW deals during the NWO era that were just paid to sit at home because they had nothing for them. And I feel like that's what's going on in AEW right now. Now, Tony Khan's a billionaire, and his dad's even a bigger billionaire. So I guess he can afford to do that. I don't think the WWE could ever be so careless with their money, and I don't think any other wrestling promotion could be that unconcerned about finances that way. And at some point, Tony has to say, look, I've lost way too much money doing this. And a guy like Scorpio Sky, as much as I think he should be on TV, if they're not going to use him, they should let him out of his contract and see what else he could do. Roswell says he's glad to see UWN coming back strong. It looks like it's going to be good. UWN needs to come back. I used to enjoy watching Memphis on Saturday and UWN on Sunday. Hopefully that's what you get to still do, Ryan. Willie says, I pray that that Watts, the Wolves Daddies, and Rock Nest Monsters are still with the UWN. So Watts has kind of stepped away from pro wrestling, Willie. I don't think you'll see him. The Wolves Daddies are still your United Wrestling Network tag team champions. So I would say that's a lock. That's a guarantee you'll see them. Rock Nest Monsters, unfortunately, Kevin Masterson, BHK, Big Sexy Kev, Johnny Goodtime has retired from the sport. He might have one more match in him, but I don't think you'll see him wrestling much longer. And Yuma is completely divorced from United Wrestling Network. So we'll see how that all plays out. Any update on UWN star Jordan Cruz recovery from injury? I haven't heard anything about Jordan Cruz's injury or his recovery time. I mean, it was a while ago, and I believe it was I want to say it was his ACL. So I don't know, to be quite honest with you. where he's at right now? That's a great question, Matt. I think I'll do some research and find out for you next time. Yeah, I'm connected to Southern California wrestling, and that's good and bad, right? Like I know a lot about what's happening out here. Now, things have changed a lot in the last 5 years, and I don't know. I'm not connected like I used to be because, again, things have changed so much. I was trying to see, Will was talking about a place in my state, the Washington State. Oh, okay. Sorry, Ross. Sorry. Danny is super talented. I can Slice being his predecessor. Yeah, Slice, look, Slice, I think, has a ton of potential to take that belt and run with it if given the right opportunity, right? Like, Danny has been great. Danny's such a good on the mic that you forget he's a junior heavyweight carrying a world championship. And you don't see that too often. He is the smallest guy to hold the United Wrestling Network World TV, or excuse me, the world title. And Slice kind of is more of a heavyweight. I mean, you guys remember when Slice was briefly in the NWA, he was feuding with Jax Dane, and he didn't look out of place next to Jax Dane. Baron Corbin just did Bloodsport too. Yeah, but Baron is no longer a WWE talent. So it's a little bit different. Conan wants AAA to join too. Progress, Marigold, and Noah are all WWE AAA. Has that been officially announced? Has Progress been officially announced as a connection to the WWE? I know that WWE Evolve, right? Like that's or NXT Evolve. What are they calling? What are they calling? What's his name? Oh man. Gabe. What are they calling Gabe's promotion? Is it? I think it's WWE Evolve or NXT Evolve, something like that. Overmetal says, question is, how do the rest of the promoters counter? Join together? I don't think there is a way to counter that. Like, what benefit does MLW have to work with AEW at this point, and vice versa? AEW has this gigantic roster. They've partnered with New Japan Pro Wrestling. They've partnered with CMLL. I don't know that adding any more partnerships is going to work. For somebody like AEW, they just need to do a better job of telling stories. How does MLW compete with that? They don't. They can't. They never were supposed to. MLW is not on the same level as the WWE. They never will be. The NWA is not on the same level as the WWE. They never will be. They might have been close to TNA, but remember, TNA had this renaissance long before the WWE started working with them. They were doing much better in terms of show quality, content, and character development for like the last 3 years. We're all just talking about it now because there's a spotlight with the WWE, but TNA really has changed its perception over the last year. And MLW still is, haunted by the ghost of Lucha Underground. Like, they're trying to recreate something that they don't even own the rights to. I don't get it. To me, that's dumb. You could still do stuff like that. You could have that cinematic style of wrestling. I just don't think that should dominate your programming. You know what they should do is try to be like the next Ring of Honor. Forget being Lucha Underground. Be what Ring of Honor was. Be what ECW was. MLW, Court Bauer looked up to ECW. When they started, they were using guys like Steve Corino, and they're using Dusty Rhodes. They modeled their company more like ECW when it first started than they do now. And I feel like doing something really aggressively different would be where MLW could succeed. The NWA, Billy will never let the NWA be successful. TNA is now WWE developmental. In some ways, it's true. Championship Wrestling from Jeremy says, the great thing about Bloodsport is it gives some credibility to the talent and shows the general public that these are real athletes and should be respected and referred to as such. Agreed. I think Bloodsport's great. The concept is great. It cannot be a full-time wrestling promotion, but it certainly could be a quarterly pay-per-view. And I think it's a great idea. The WWE was doing the Raw Underground, and I think they were trying to copy what Bloodsport was. Josh Barnett has a good formula. It's that work shoot style of pro wrestling. The Japanese had, UFO back in the 90s, which was very comparable to what Bloodsport is now. Christopher Henry said, I think Triple H wanted a global territory system like NXT India, etc. The problem with that, though, is there isn't talent and there isn't enough talented people to carry NXT India. There isn't look, they struggle with NWA or NXT UK. I don't think they could do that in India or China. I mean, I think the best bet was what they were trying to do, which was recruit talent from those places. Although what I would have done differently is not the UK wrestling scene, because that was a vibrant wrestling community already. I think I would have gone to Australia. I think I would have set up shop at WWE Australia, NXT Australia, and you would have access to talent from Japan, India, China, Korea, New Zealand. Because first of all, if you're centrally located in Australia, you're close to all these countries. A lot closer. Like, it's an 18-hour flight from Los Angeles to Shanghai. Like, that's a long flight. Which talent scouts are you going to send to do that? Or even yet, maybe in like Qatar, there is a pro wrestling promotion in Qatar, and that would work well too if you're bringing in WWE talent there, 3 or 4 times a year outside of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia shows to kind of build up that fan base. But what do I know? Chris says New Japan is forming its own alliance with AEW, CMLL, Rev Pro, and select others. Yeah, well, I mean, look, those are AEW is just trying to cannibalize the relationships New Japan Pro Wrestling has already in place. And I guess there's nothing wrong with that, but they've also cannibalized the top talent from New Japan Pro Wrestling, which again, I guess there's nothing wrong with that, because New Japan wasn't going to keep those guys anyways. They were always letting Jay White go. They were always going to let Will Ospreay go. And I feel like it's just a regular thing. Kenny Omega, AJ Styles, Finn Balor, all those guys were big deals in New Japan Pro Wrestling before becoming bigger deals in the U.S. And I feel like that's still the formula for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Chris, I have an idea. Look, I'll say it out right now. I'll say it right now. Instead of buying Ring of Honor, Tony should have bought Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. Think about that. If Tony owned Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, look, you could even still have Super Dragon still promote the shows. He could still run the shows, but it would all be financed through AEW money. It'd all be financed through Tony Khan. They could still have these amazing shows, probably even better, because you could open up the purse strings a little bit more. And a lot of the talent who are sitting there and catering, not doing anything for AEW, could be doing these PWG shows once a month in Los Angeles, in Reseda. Hell, he could have bought the Reseda Country Club and turned that into the PWG venue, right? Like, they could have done their whole thing right there in Reseda. I haven't flushed it out, but I think it's a great idea. Some might say Yuma sticking his tongue out at UWN. Henry, boom, boom, boom. Amazing. On TikTok, E asked me, do you think Alexa Bliss returns at the Royal Rumble? Yes. Yes, I do. Ryan says, AEW has a relationship with CCW and MCW also. In fact, Kwan is the current MCW champion. Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving pieces. And look, why does it have to be just one or the other? Like Dave Marquez, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, United Wrestling Network, they will work with the AEW talent. They'll work with the WWE ID talent. They'll work with whoever they can. Look, if Tom Latimer was available, I bet you he'd get booked by Dave Marquez. Maybe not. I don't know. But Slice and Fatu have the authentic hood aspect that most of the business can't act out. Slice looks like he wants to knock everybody out. That's true, man. Slice is a dude. Like, Danny will come over and put his arm around you and make you feel like you're best friends. He's your boy. Slice makes you want to like put your wallet in your other pocket. You put your hands on your car keys, make sure they're still there. Gabe is NXT Evolved and he still works with FIP. Well, there you go. Where is Blake Troop at? Probably calling MMA fights. Blake Troop is an accomplished mixed martial arts commentator as well as an active participant The fact that he's not on NWA programming is a shocker to me because he kind of fits a lot of the bill. But that's a story for another time, I guess. They've been sleeping on TNA. I feel like that's the case, man. I feel like that's the case. E also asked me, who do I like better, Alexa Bliss or Charlotte Flair? Between the two, Charlotte Flair is probably one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Alexa Bliss is a great talent. She's a great WWE wrestler, but she's a great women's wrestler. Charlotte Flair is one of the best wrestlers of all time. Can't really even argue with me on that one. Chris Henry says, Lucha Underground to me felt like Glow done as drama. Yeah, like Lucha Underground was a TV show that co-opted wrestling, right? And I feel like Lucha Underground was a very interesting concept. You got amazing wrestling, weird telenovela, soap opera storylines, more so than what you ever see in American wrestling. And it worked. There was definitely an audience for that. I don't know why it fell apart. I don't think that WWE should try to recreate it, but I wouldn't hate if someone else did. They'd have to do it the right way. And so far, no one's been able to do that. MLW is growing as slowly. GCW is doing some good on the independent scene. See, GCW to me, I think GCW right now is the top independent promotion in the United States. And by independent, I mean like they're not connected to a TV deal. They don't have like a partnership with somebody else. Like you can't call Ring of Honor an independent promotion. You can't call TNA an independent promotion. You can't call, even what Billy Corgan's doing with the NWA. I mean, technically it's independent, but it's also being financed by a millionaire rock star, like Brett Lauderdale is not a millionaire rock star. How is he paying for these shows? What is he doing? How does he make that kind of money? And the only thing I could assume is that the shows are making enough money for him to keep going. So I liked MLW before the Lucha stuff. I love Lucha Libre. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like trying to appease that Lucha Underground fan base, and you got to either go all in or don't go in at all. And I don't think using luchadors means that you're trying to be Lucha Underground, but I feel like, bringing in some of the characters who were on that show and trying to recreate those moments, I think it's just, I don't know. UWFI Japan, UFO in Japan too. That was Inoki's organization that Hashimoto worked for too. NWA New Zealand. Australia is WSW country. Well, and that's the thing about WSW is it's a part-time wrestling promotion. WSW is the Australian version of the NWA. And I mean that in that WSW runs like 4 or 5 shows a quarter, back to back to back. It's like a tour. And they'll bring in some of the top names from the United States. They'll bring in the top wrestling names. Like they've had Brian Cage on their shows. They've had Johnny Mundo, Johnny Nitro, John Morrison, whatever you want to call him, on their shows. They've had Josh Alexander. They've had Alexander Hammerstone. They've had a lot of great talent on those cards, but it's not a full-time wrestling show. In fact, WSW is a company that maybe they would benefit from working with the WWE. Maybe they could be like a touring promotion that would blend ID talents and NXT talents and TNA talents with the Australian talents. I mean, but I don't think WSW is not a full-time wrestling promotion, and I don't think that if the WWE wanted to go to Australia with the developmental league, that WSW would be a problem for them at all. James Bell says, remember when Scott D'Amore was fired? A lot of folks thought it was the end of TNA. Yeah, I was one of those guys, right? Like Scott D'Amore did so much to recreate the NWA in this new image. I said NWA, TNA in this image that it wasn't what it was. And you kind of felt like the Dixie curse was gone. The Billy curse was gone. The Jarrett curse was gone. And it really felt like they were going in this great direction. And then he gets fired out of the blue. And you're like, what? What is he doing wrong? And TNA just kept improving. I mean, whatever he instilled on that creative team, I know is made up of Tommy Dreamer and a few other guys, like they're still going. So good for them. Chris says he heard a rumor that the Bucks were trying to buy PWG. Like, look, if you knew what happened with Super Dragon and some of the sad things that have happened in his life over the last few years, you kind of understand why maybe Pro Wrestling Guerrilla has been on hiatus, maybe even closed for good. There was a lot of history in Reseda. Pro Wrestling Guerrilla launched a lot of careers. It helped solidify guys as top guys. The WWE, AEW, TNA Wrestling, all were using talents that were working in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. PWG changed the landscape of pro wrestling in this country and maybe in the world. And I think that it's a shame that they have not been able to find their footing since everything that's happened. And honestly, you can't blame Super Dragon for how things have gone. I wish that guy nothing but the best. I hope that at some point he can find his passion for pro wrestling again and bring PWG back. But even if he did, if he brought PWG back today, what would he be bringing back? You know, the Bucks are AEW. Kevin Owens is in WWE. Sami Zayn's in WWE. It's not like what it was. It wouldn't ever be the same. But I feel like it could still be something really, really special and unique. Let's see. More of your comments. See, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla and United Wrestling Network don't line up. It's not the same, Willie. And I get what you're saying. Like, hey, they're both Southern California. But like, if you look at the rosters, you look at the people who work for those companies, it's not the same. The ideology of the promoters, the ideology of the talent, it's just not the same. Not every geographical location makes sense to work with somebody. Slice is a monster who you'd see beating Latimer for Charlotte. Also, have you seen the trailer for the Mildred Burke movie? I saw one of the trailers. I haven't seen the most recent one. It's snowing in Georgia. It's snowing in Georgia. It's hellfire and brimstone here in California. Who knows what's going to happen? Let me get a drink of water. This has only been for like 46 minutes, and I feel like we were going so long today, and it's not. In the chat, in the TikTok chat, someone just said Ring of Honor. And I like Ring of Honor, but I don't feel like Ring of Honor is really it's just a shell of what it used to be. And I feel like it always will be a shell of what it used to be until Tony Khan lets someone else run Ring of Honor. Running it as Soto, it's no joke, man. I'm dying of thirst over here. I think as long as Ring of Honor is being ran as AEW, C-level show, it's never going to find its own identity. No one's going to want to buy that program. No one's going to want to pay for that program. And in all honesty, Tony should take it off the market, make it a YouTube exclusive, make it an exclusive to AEW's YouTube channel, or hell, why not even do an AEW like Twitch channel or something? I don't know. Just the way it is now just doesn't make sense. And I don't see people getting excited about it. Like who's excited about Chris Jericho in 2025? I don't know anyone that says Chris Jericho is going to be there. I'm going to that show. 58-year-old Ultimo Dragon is going to be at the Crash Lucha Libre on February the 21st. And Soto 619 and your boy J Cal are going to be there. Front row, $70 tickets. We're there. Maybe. J Cal, did you ever go to any Rev Pro shows? Yes. In fact, your boy Jay, one of my most favoritist people on this planet Earth, is a guy named Adair Cole. You might know Adair Cole from some of his Hollywood directing and producing. But before any of that, he was Shogun, the Shogun of Rev Pro, who lost his mask to Super Dragon. I did not get to see that match live, but I did attend several of Rev Pro's events. Initially, they had their dojo in Norwalk, California, which is about 15 minutes away from where I grew up in Southern California. They would move to Anaheim briefly before settling in the City of Industry as Rev Pro was winding down. They started working with AWS, the Alternative Wrestling Show. because it used to be the alternative wrestling shop at Frankensons in Southern California. If you want to go to a collector's show every weekend, there's Frankensons. It used to be this dumpy warehouse. Now they bought like an old Walmart and revamped it, and it's very huge, very impressive. I haven't been to one in probably like 10 years, but it's a really cool place, and they used to do pro wrestling right there in the warehouse. So yeah, that's where I would watch Rev Pro. I would see Super Dragon, the Professional Scott Lost, a Masked Scorpio Sky, Chris Bosch, Joey Ryan. I know it's a name we don't say anymore, but back then he was pretty damn good. Shogun, Kiku Taro, or just Taro, of course Excalibur, Disco Machine. Yeah, I loved Rev Pro. I thought that was Rev Pro was kind of like the second indie company that I watched when I became, or third, I guess, when I became aware of what independent pro wrestling was, and I love that place. Roswell says, Ring of Honor has to be standalone. Pure wrestling is the future, and the future is now. I love pure wrestling. Roswell, you and I share the same brain on a lot of things, and this is one that 100% I agree with you on. Give me some real good old-fashioned pro wrestling. I like 2 years ago when they were trying to figure out what to do with CM Punk, and they brought in Collision. Like, why didn't they just make that Saturday night show the Ring of Honor show? And why didn't they just put CM Punk and Samoa Joe and some of the guys that would have made sense onto that program? You could have had AEW and ROH in a real ROH. It would have been amazing. On TikTok, they say, who are you most excited to see return at the Women's Royal Rumble? I guess right now I'm most excited to see Jordynne Grace come back. She was at last year's Rumble, so her making a second appearance would be kind of cool. That woman has changed her look, her physical appearance, her style of wrestling. She's a powerhouse, and I think she'd fit right in with the WWE's women division, which I think is where she's going to end up anyways. Then they also said, do you see the Hardys coming to NXT? Yeah, I do. I think it'd be smart to give them an NXT title run. As you put them in the Hall of Fame in a year or two, you could say, oh, they held all these tag team gold, and now you can include TNA without feeling dirty about it. Noob says, I'm tired of all this other wrestling company talk. I'm here for the NWA. So I did see Jordynne at the Crash, and she looked great. She picked up the Beast Monstruos. So what's going on with the main event on this week's episode of Power? So the problem with Power is, look, man, this is going to be a weird episode. It's going to be a weird, for me, it's going to be weird because we're going to watch, I mentioned this earlier, we're going to see the final match of Jax Dane. I don't know if that's the main event. It probably won't be. This week's Power is, I don't even know what to really call it because like the timing of these episodes and they make announcements and they just don't line up. So like this week, there's a singles match between Natalia Markova and La Princesa Tiffany Nieves. Now the problem with this is they just announced last week at the end of Power, Billy Corgan said that this feud between Markova and Nieves needs to come to an end. It needs to come to an end. Cool. I'm good with that. But why are you announcing that before they have their last in-ring match, before the cage match? Like, it would have made a lot more sense for the match between Tiffany Nieves and Markova to happen last week prior to Billy's announcement. I'm sure tonight when they wrestle, it's going to be a screw job ending. They're probably going to end up fighting to disqualification. Somebody will probably use a foreign object or someone will interfere or something's going to happen to make it a screw end match. And why didn't they do that before the announcement? It would have made sense. Now the announcement looks stupid. Like, oh, we're going to announce that it's going to be in a cage, but then we're going to put him in this match too. So it's like, what are we doing here? That doesn't make any sense to me. Then you have a couple throwaway matches. Look, Tom Latimer's taking on Tyler Franks in a non-title match. I don't know what that does for anybody. Tyler Franks, okay. If he's good, maybe he should have been in a match with somebody like Kerry Morton. Like, I don't need Tom Latimer to wrestle non-title matches. I need Tom Latimer to wrestle really good opponents to help solidify him as a world's heavyweight champion. So putting him in a non-title match with Tyler Franks probably means that they're just going to have an opportunity for EC3 and his cronies and the Exodus Pro to come invade and interrupt that match. So again, that one's a throwaway for me. I don't even care. Kerry Morton is taking on Connor Hazard Murphy. I don't know much about Connor Hazard Murphy. Didn't have any time to do research on him. Again, I think it's great that you're putting in talent there to help establish some of the names. Now, if Kerry Morton goes out there and beats the heck out of this kid and puts one more match closer to either facing Carson Drake or Mims or Thom Latimer, like, oh, I'm excited for that. But other than that, like, I feel like it's kind of pointless. If we go out there and this kid really puts the boots to Kerry Morton, Carson Murphy, if he really puts the boots to Kerry, what is that doing for Kerry? Unless Connor Murphy's your next big thing, which I don't know. Maybe he is. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. There's also a tag team match with Joe Ocasio and Colby Carino taking on Zion and Magic Jake. Now, prior to this, Zion and Magic Jake were kind of embodied in a feud with Baron Von Storm and Jax Dane, so I'm not sure how that's going to play into any of that. Ocasio and Colby, I know they had faced off against each other a few years ago, and I know that Ocasio recently has been kind of involved with the feud between Gags the Gimp and Lev. So I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen with this. Like, again, like, having tag teams just show up to be tag teams and wrestle doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Okay. You have tag teams. Why don't we start establishing them? If you're going to have, Ocasio and Carino team up, is this to establish them as potential challengers for the Country Gentlemen? Are they trying to build up to fight, Blunt Force Trauma or Murdochs or the World Tag Champions? Or is this just another throwaway match? Ryan says he's got no snow and Dirty Myrtle. Dirty Myrtle sound. Never mind. Can't say that here. Double D. Yeah, I was busy earlier today too, man. Noob says I'm predicting a double count out or a DQ because the announcement doesn't make sense that whatsoever because the booking of Markova is borderline bad. Yeah. Our pal Chris Shoemaker over here on TikTok said at this point with Latimer getting jumped from EC3, do you see him getting protection, i.e. Camille, back? I would love to see Camille come back. They're not doing much with her in AEW. But no, I don't. I see Thom, unfortunately, just being a victim of this abuse because he doesn't really have, a gallery of allies. He was a member of one of the most hated stables of all time in the NWA, Strictly Business. And, maybe this would be a smart time to bring Chris Masters back. But as of right now, no, I don't see anything positive happening with Camille coming back to the NWA. James Bell says it was great to see Exodus Pro event live on YouTube Saturday night. I think that's honestly, I think that's the right strategy for the NWA and their affiliates. I think that instead of doing signature live events that become power tapings, I think it would be very smart of Billy Corgan, dare I say advantageous, for him to do these signature live events on YouTube and make them either make them completely free, or even if you put a nominal dollar amount on it, $10 to watch this show on YouTube live on Saturday night, I feel like that would be a very smart thing to do. I think it would be a smart idea to help create revenue while also having these shows. And then you could parse those matches out later. You could parse those matches out later on YouTube and still double down on the content. But I feel like the NWA has suffered significantly since doing away with pay-per-views and creating these signature live events, which are basically TV tapings at this point. Ryan says he's down for Hollywood or Nieves title run. To be honest, I think we're going to see something happen in 25. I don't think I guarantee you that Haley Page is not your women's champion at the 77th anniversary. I don't think she has that in her. If they do it, wow, that's bonkers. But it might be. Walter Lee on our TikTok just said he'd check out NWA if it was free. Walter, the NWA is free if you go to x.com/NWA. In about 5 minutes, they'll be live on X completely for free. If you have problems getting onto X, they also have their matches for free on YouTube as well. It's not the entire show, just matches. Did I say? I said Haley Page. Uh-oh. That's somebody else. Don't look that person up. Tenzie Page. Whoops. That's a different person. Sorry. Devin says, what if we got Royce Isaac and his tag team partner to come in and help Latimer? Now, Double D, you're talking my language here. I think Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaac are solid in the ring, and I think they're still the New Japan Strong Tag Team Champions. Would love that idea. Even if it's just a way to introduce them for the Crockett Cup, would be all about that idea. But we know that the NWA has a struggle to work with other wrestling promotions. So I don't know. I would love it, but I don't think it's going to happen. Strictly Business was a good faction. They were a great faction, and it's the only faction that the NWA has done 100% correctly. Damn it. Make me say nice things about Billy Corgan. Make me say nice things about Nick Aldis. But that was a great faction. You know, the Idolmania Sports Management, when it was Tyrus and Clearwater and who else was in that group? They had a few other guys, and that was a pretty solid group too. They were winning a lot of titles, Black G's, and who else was in that group? They had the TV title, the world title. Anyway, I got the feeling that Markova is going to be NWA Women's Champion. I still think Markova has a very good chance of becoming Women's Champion. I thought the best time to do it was going to be at Looks to Kill. I could still see it happening at Hard Times. I could also see them putting the belt on Tiffany Nieves for a short run. All these things are in play. But guys, that's it. That's our time for the week. Of course, Power starts on X, exclusively on X right now. It starts right now. So go to x.com/the NWA and check out the program right there live right now, or you can always watch the replay later. Of course, this is the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. If you enjoy the show, please give us a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. It all helps with the algorithm, which helps us get seen by more people, which helps the channel grow. And already we're doing 3 days a week of live, fresh NWA-themed content for you, that hashtag NWA fam. If you enjoy the show, that's the least you can do to help us grow. If you want to help support us financially, we do have T-shirts and hats available in our merch. The links are in the video description. And until next time, guys, we'll see you at the matches. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.